The subject of the show, Sheva Mitzvot Rabbanan, the 7 decrees of our sages. We all know that there is 613 mitzvot, נכון? תרי"ג mitzvot. What does it mean, תרי"ג mitzvot? So תרי"ג mitzvot mean taf. In Hebrew, the letter taf stand for 400. Resh, 200. Together, 600. Yud is 10. Gimel is 3. To tell us that there is 613 mitzvot from the Torah. That we all know. From them, and that's very important to understand, that we have 248 positive commands. And 365 negative command. That's awards every day of the year, if you look. But there is other 7 mitzvot that our sages constitute for us, and we do it almost every day. Not all of them every day. Some of them we do once a week. Some of them we do once a month or in a festival. We look at them. And they've been constituted by Hazal. And I'm going to say them quick, and then I will explain. And the mitzvot is to say brachot. The first one is brachot. The second one is netilat yadayim. The third one is iruvim. I will explain. The fourth one is halel, to say halel. The fifth one is ner Shabbat, to light a candle on Shabbos and Yom Tov. The sixth one is to read the Megillah. And the seventh one, to light the Hanukkah candle on Hanukkah. So we see that there is 7 special mitzvot that Hazal constitute for us. And we also have to understand why dafka 7. Because if we take the 613 plus 7 will give us 620, נכון? We'll see why dafka 7. That we'll do in the end of the show. But we have to understand the first time that it's mentioned that regarding the 7 mitzvot of Rabbanan, where is it mentioned? It's mentioned on the book Keter Torah. The book Keter Torah been written by Rabbi David Vital. Later on, it's been found also in the book of the Tanya. The book of the Tanya been written by the Admor HaZaken. The Admor HaZaken, just to help you with that, that's Rabbi Shneor Zalman Miladi. And there he mentioned also, in Perek Nun Gimel, he mentioned regarding the Sheva Mitzvot de Rabbanan. The 7 law that our sages constitute for us.
Do you mind repeating it?
I will repeat. Sure. The 7 mitzvot. I'm going to go through each one of them. Don't worry. Don't worry. Beside those 7 mitzvot that Hazal constitute for us, Hazal constitute for us many rules and decrees. For example, they constitute for us what we call a siyag. A siyag is a gader. Gader is a fence. That there is certain thing that we're not allowed to do, that has v'shalom, not to fall in avera. That means that they're giving us a fence. Don't do that, because if you do that, it's going to lead you to do avera. But that's not considered as a mitzvah de Rabbanan. This is just gderot. That's called a siyag. So now I'm going to start with the 7 mitzvot. So the first mitzvah we say it's a brachot. Hazal constitutes for us to say a brachot on things that a human being actually have a pleasure from them. What we call birkat hane'enim. Not only that, that on certain things that happen to people. Happened to a person a miracle in a certain place, and he passed there, he's obligated to say a bracha according to Hazal. Baruch she'asa li nes bamakom hazeh. Sorry, thank you. Also, a person travel and he fly over the sea, or he sail in the sea, he fly over the desert. Have to say Birkat HaGomel. Hazal constitute for us. That we learn. Hazal tell us that if you look at the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, page 35, in folio 1, there Hazal tell us that the Brachot that we saying, that's all constitute to us by Hazal. So the first one, to say Brachot. The second one is Netilat Yadayim, to vas. Hazal constitute for us to vas our hand before we eat bread. I repeat, before you eat bread. That's a mitzvah de Rabbanan. What does it mean? That we should use a vessel that we call an atlan, the vasa, that we should use clean water, we can't use dirty water, and we should vas our hand before we eat bread. That's called netilat yadayim. Okay? In the Gemara, in Masechet Brachot, in page 14, folio 2, and 15, folio 1, Hazal tell us that actually, that this mitzvah, it's actually constituted to us by Shlomo HaMelech. Okay? That's in Gemara Masechet Shabbat. Remember, 14 and 15. So, the mitzvah netilat yadayim that Hazal constitute for us, it's actually come before. From who? From Shlomo HaMelech. Now Shlomo HaMelech constitute for us another mitzvah. You know what the other mitzvah? Mitzvat eruvim. What is mitzvat eruvim? We have a mitzvah to do eruv. Everyone know what is it eruv? Before I continue. No. Yes, Philip. Eruv, yeah. You know, okay. I'll explain what is eruv because the eruv actually split to few things. There is eruv tchumim, eruv hatzerot, ve'eruv tafshilim. 3 different things. Eruv tafshilim, that Pesach Eve, Yom Tov Eve, before every Yom Tov, we take 2 kinds of food and we say a blessing on it. And by that we're saying a blessing on it, we make an eruv that to allow us to cook from Yom Tov to Shabbos, because we're not allowed to cook on Shabbos. That's called eruv tafshilim. Eruv tchumim, that's the most common one that you all know, that's the eruv certain areas that we can carry on Shabbat, that we can carry thing letzorech Shabbat. What does it mean? That means that there is certain areas that we have to surround them to make an eruv, so we close them. How do we close them? Or we close them by fence, walls, or we close them with a certain line that to close the area, a wire. Then we have eruv hatzerot. Eruv hatzerot, you have a complex. Jean, you live in Hazelwood. So there people have to carry. So one person has to do eruv hatzerot that you can carry on Shabbos inside the complex. You follow? That's kind of a constitute, okay? We learn in the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat and the Gemara Masechet Eruvim. In Masechet Shabbat it's 14, page 14. In Masechet Eruvim it's page 21. Okay? There Hazal tell us that Shlomo HaMelech actually constitute mitzvat Eruvim. Everyone understand? Or there is question? What is the Eruv? Everyone understand?
Yeah, you gotta put that.
Lionel, did you understand the Eruv? That you see the wire.
Yeah.
Remember? That's surrounding certain area, and you know that in this area you can carry your talis on Shabbos.
Some shuls, it was good.
Yeah. Because it's part of the Eruv. Nachon? So we see from here that we have so far 3 mitzvot. What is the 4th mitzvah that we say? It was Hallel. What is Hallel? Hallel, it's actually a constitution that's been done by the prophet. that they constitute for us to say a poem of Tehillim in Shachrit, on Rosh Chodesh. When it's for Rosh Chodesh fall, we have to say extra Tehillim. And then not only that, on Shalosh Regalim, in a festival. And when else? In Hanukkah. So the Prophet constitute for us to say Hallel in Shaharit, Rosh Chodesh, Shlosha Regalim, that means the festival, and Hanukkah. Okay? The fifth mitzvah that we have, to light Shabbos candle on Yom Tov and on Shabbat. Why do we light candle on Shabbat? Anyone know? Hadlakat ner on Shabbat.
It's for going up.
The reason that we light candle on Shabbat, Rabotai, Shlom Bayit. Shlom Bayit. That's all. You know what is a Shlom Bayit? Paul, you understand what is Shlom Bayit? Shlom Bayit, to have peace in the house. That's the reason that we light candle. So now you ask, why is that? Why is that? Because we know that we're not allowed to light on Shabbos, nachon? You can't light a candle on Shabbos. Today we have electricity, it's different. But in the olden days, they used to light candles. So to have electricity at home, it's a blessing. But in the olden days, they didn't. So they used to light the candles. What the Shlom Bayit about it? That if you, Hazal, wouldn't constitute for us to light a candle, we will walk at night, in the dark. And Has v'Shalom, you trip over something, you know what's going to happen. Not only that, you're eating on a table. Let's say that you arrive in peace to the table. And then you want an extra piece of fish. And you take your fork and you want to take something, and someone else decides to take with his finger, you can prick him. Or Has v'Shalom, you cut the bread, and someone put his hand to take a slice, and you can slice his whatever. So to avoid all of that, Hazal constitute for us to light a candle that we should have light at home and Yom Tov, that's on Shabbat and Yom Tov, for Shlom Bayit. Yes.
Say it happens that you haven't got candles.
If you don't have a candle, but today we have electricity.
Yeah.
You,
Sometimes.
yeah. Okay, sometimes. But usually we all have candle for Shabbat. We all, in South Africa, everyone has stock of candle. We can't live without candle because the power outage that we have, like Paul says sometimes. Okay, so that was the fifth mitzvah. The sixth mitzvah that we have is to read Megillat Esther. In Purim, Esther asked the sages that if they can constitute for us a mitzvah to read the Megillah. When is the reading of the Megillah? The reading of the Megillah should be at Purim night and during the day. And it should be read from a scroll, a kosher scroll. The Megillah, when they read, should be from a kosher scroll at night and during the day. So Hazal, after the miracle of Purim, they didn't immediately constitute reading Megillah. If you've been in the Shorim, it was a couple of years later that only Hazal made that decree for us to read the Megillah. Any questions so far? So we all understand. The seven mitzvah. What is the seven mitzvah we say? Hanukkah. Okay. So the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, in page 21, Hazal tell us that they constitute for us to light the candle for Hanukkah. What does it mean to light the candles? to start lighting the candle of Hanukkah from the 25th of Kislev for 8 days. When did Hazal constitute that mitzvah? It's happened a year after the miracle of Hanukkah. That means after the miracle of Hanukkah happened, only a year later, Hazal constitute for us the 7 mitzvah to light the Hanukkah candles. Now, before we continue, you have any question? One by one. Yes. Havdalah is not from the Torah. Nachon. But we have what we call lehavdil ben kodesh lehol. So you have to do Havdalah. I done a shiur on it. If you look at the shiur of Havdalah, it's there. To separate the holiness, because we live in what is Havdalah, that I'm actually defined between holy and non-holy. Yes, who asked? Yes.
The first mitzvah.
The first mitzvah of brachot. You're talking about
pleasure.
brachot.
Yeah, we get pleasure from
Okay,
something.
I'll tell you.
It includes the food.
Include the food, yes. But not only that. I don't know how many of you know this birkat hareach, the blessing of the smell, birkat hareach. That if you smell a good smell, and I'll explain what it means good smell, not perfume. No, not perfume. We're not talking about perfume. Or aftershave, no. I don't know how many of you drove through Orchard. There's a special, I remember when I was in the Israeli Defense Force, and it used to happen exactly in the end of the winter. In the end of the winter, I used to drive not far from my base, was an orchard, and the smell was magnificent. And especially, I'm telling you now also where was my base, when the wind used to come from the sea, you can smell it like you can't believe. Sometimes you walk and you smell certain flowers. When does it happen? Usually in the spring, when the jasmine start giving their good smell. So you say birkat hareach, the blessing of the smell. Yes, Paul, you wanted to ask.
The Rabbanan, does that apply to al netilat yadayim?
Yes.
In other circumstances, not just for bread, but when you wake up in the morning, when you're going to...
Okay, I understand. So you say that is the other constitution, for example, from you coming out of the toilet. Nachon? So that, there is a difference. Let me explain to you. The Sfaradim hold that you shouldn't vas. You're not obligated to vas. It's wrong to say that you shouldn't. You're not obligated to vas. You can wash your hand 3 times. Why? For hygiene. But when Hazal constitute for us brachot and netilat yadayim, they constitute for us the netilat yadayim specially and specifically before you eat the bread. And then you say al netilat yadayim. Okay? There's other question?
But in the morning,
when you wake up, you say modeh nachon?
Then you
go and then you vas.
Right.
Now,
Before
just
going to-
yes. Just before you stand up, you sit on a bed after you wake up, and you say modeh ani. Modeh ani, if you count it, there is 12 words. נכון? מודה אני לפניך מלך אל חי וקיים אשר החזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך, נכון? Now, 12 word we say, נכון? Each word take a second, נכון? 1 second. מודה אני לפניך. 3 seconds. Hazal tell us that when you wake up in the morning, you should sit up, take 12 seconds for the blood to rush from the head down, to give us a chance that if you jump off the bed, you might going to lose your balance. So that's what Hazal constitute for us. It's take at least 12 seconds for the blood to run down. We have a doctor here. Am I right, doctor? Does it take like this? Yeah? Baruch Hashem. You see, so in the morning, hear it, when we wake up, we say that. Even that we didn't fast. Why? Because there we don't mention him the name of the Almighty. נכון? There is no name of the Almighty. Paul, I see that you trying to repeat it. You're not going to find the name of the Almighty. מודה אני לפניך מלך חי וקיים שחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך. נכון? There is no name of the Almighty. That's the only reason that we can say without an etila. Then immediately we go and we fast. And then we continue. Why? Because when you wake up in the morning, we explain that there is a special tumah on a finger. Why? Because every night, at midnight, the neshama leave for a split of a second, go up to heaven to sign on all the deeds that you've done during the day. For good and the bad. So that means that the body is like have a tumah of a mat. You follow? That's why we was. You follow? Any other question? No. So now we say that we have 613 mitzvot from the Torah, נכון? Plus 7 mitzvot of the Rabbanan, 620. Why dafka 620? Why did Hazal constitute for us those only 7 and not more and not less? That's the question that we have to ask. Why dafka 7? What was so special about those 7? So I'll do with you gematria. We say that there is 620 mitzvot, נכון? 620 mitzvot stand for keter. What it means, keter? A crown. How do we get to it? Keter is kaf, 20, נכון? Taf, 400. Resh, 200. Together, 620. It's come to tell us, the Mefarshim explained that the main reason that Hazal constitute for us those 7, that when we doing the 620 mitzvot, we crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By keeping the 620 mitzvot, we crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the 7 mitzvot that add up to the 613 give us 620. Gematria Keter. Keter is a crown. That when we do mitzvot, we crowning HaKadosh Baruch Hu on us. That means that we keeping the mitzvot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we saying, you are our king. So now we understand why Hazal constitute for us 7 mitzvot. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we should all merit to keep those mitzvot, to crown HaKadosh Baruch Hu on us, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have mercy on us, and please our God will send us Messiah Tzidkenu b'mehera b'yameinu amen ken yeh ratzon.